the fuck happened? Well, good evening, everybody, and having some difficulty tonight. Can't get my camera to work, so you're not gonna have me staring at you with my ugly mug. So, with that, um, let me get started. We got a lot to unpack tonight. There's been a flurry of activity on the uh, Marion County Court docket, and this one we've had on before, but I'm going to bring it up again because it gets into. Oh, wait a minute! I didn't want to do it that way, but yeah. Let me see what I can do with this because I've got a single window. See if the one. Nope, it's not doing what I want with the window. Try it this way. Well, that's doing even worse. I'm going to try and do the opposite here. No, it's making me the primary window, and I don't want that. So just bear with me a minute here. Um, there, do it that way. All right, this was one. This was one that went up in April. This is, I believe, when Neely wanted to um, dismiss. Um, okay, this is something different. Certificate of service was issued. I'm not quite sure what that was about. And let me go up to, let's see, we got motion to recuse. And this, oops. Now I go over here. We're going to kind of be slopped up on this. I've been having problems with the computer all day. Yeah. No, I'm on the air. Cheryl says hi, by the way. And let's see. All right. Now, this is what I was looking for to start this off with. This is where Neely Blanchard had the bright idea of dismissing the judge um, due to bias and all kinds of stuff. So, and she is in this document as of April 5th saying that she is going to represent herself as her own attorney. And I believe I went over this on the last live stream. So, but that's what that one did. Now this is old material, so let's go over to a discovery that came up. And this is going to be mainly now this is lab report that came up. So they got lab report submission. This is probably DNA and other forensic evidence that came up. So this is kind of normal stuff you see in any situation. So I got that. And let me see, we got now this next thing has been causing a little bit of a stir on the what I'm going to do is I'm going to enlarge this a little bit. Now this discovery is 4 pictures from defendant's Facebook, and I'll get into a little bit as we go on as to what this has to do with. This is a little bit interesting. And yes, they are allowing her to represent herself. I got into this on the last live stream. The U.S. Constitution allows you to represent yourself. It's known as Pro Se and some other terms, but she is going to be representing herself, and she has not gotten her own attorney. So this is going to make for, and she is being helped because she does not have the kind of knowledge to be filing all this. So someone is kind of acting as a consultant, and so she's getting help with some of this stuff, even though she says she's not. Now this was filed on the 8th. Now this is the 12th, so you can see how fast this is moving. And I'm going to go through this a little bit because there's something in here that um, I don't know if it's in this one or another one, but she filed a motion to compel the state to disclose all Brady evidence. Comes now the defendant, Neely Petrie Blanchard, Pro C, files this motion to compel the state to disclose all expul. I always have a problem with this word. Um, Evidence and favorable to the defense. Brady evidence. Now, this she's getting this. Sorry, we had a Amber Alert here. Hope I'm still on the air. Anyway, um, but she's asking for all Brady evidence or whatever, and she's already got this. I've even put this on the air. She wants this evidence. All she's got to do is go to my past live streams because I put all this up. She has all this. And it goes through all the witnesses. Shannon states I made a statement that she did not disclose to law enforcement, or did she disclose in her deposition testimony, so on and so forth. So anyway, this is um, now she's saying here the state is aware of this audio recording and her conflicting testimony, but the state is not producing this evidence on the record. Yes, it does. If you guys recall, I've been putting up discovery that I got from the state attorney's office, which includes all these interviews. And both interviews with Tanis is on my website. So if she wants it, she can go to my website and get it. It's already in the state record. She can ask for it. I don't know, why she's having problems with it. But, she gets to go through the paperwork and she can get all this information. So April 1st, maybe she's pulling an April Fool's joke. I don't know. But anyway, all this is this is what she's filing. So I'm putting it out there. People can make up their own minds. But, this stuff's already been handled. Now, let me. 323. All right, I'm going to jump a little bit because this is one that I want to see. This one, let me bring it up. Let's go through this because this one I was a little confused with. This was filed on the 9th by the state of Florida. The state of Florida, by and through assigned assistant state attorney and pursuant to the statute, moves the honorable court in order granting the state's motion to prevent exclusion of witnesses as ground. Defendant scheduled for trial on April 15th. The defendant has previously filed a notice of intent to rely upon defense of insanity, which, although she is representing herself, she has adopted as well. It is anticipated that the defendant will call Dr. Harry Kropp, a psychologist, in her defense to assist her in attempting to establish her burden under the affirmative defense of insanity. The state has retained a neuropsychologist, Dr. Jason Demery, who is expected to reply in rebuttal. The Florida statute pertaining to the exclusion of witnesses states a witness may not be excluded if the witness is a person whose presence is shown by the party's attorney to be essential to the presentation of the party's clause. And see Knight versus State. And it goes on to, in order to properly and adequately rebut the testimony given by the defendant and the defense expert, as well as assist in the state's cross-examination of the aforementioned experts, the presence of the Dr. Demery during testimony of the defense expert and defendant, should she choose to testify, is essential in the presentation of the state's case. Wherefore, the state respectively requests the Honorable Court to enter an order granting the state motion to prevent exclusion of witnesses and allow Dr. Demery to be present during testimony of the defendant and the defense's expert mental health witness in the above titled cause. So that um, is where we're going. If Neely Blanchard is found guilty of the primary charge of murder in the first degree, she will get life in prison without parole. That's, that's a given here, but, this. But let me. And now there's some stuff that was flagged as non-disclosable by the state. And order for protection was one that was issued on the 9th. Miscellaneous copy of findings of fact, conclusions of law, and custody order. This has to do with what brought her into this in the first place. One file that's still locked is miscellaneous copy of pretrial motions. And I'm not bringing these up on the screen right now. Let's see. The trial is going to start with jury selection, April 15th at 8:30 in the morning, and I will be there. So let's see. Let's go up. We've got miscellaneous copy of medical tests, final case summary report. All this has been redlined. Miscellaneous copy of email correspondence is still being reviewed. And now we have request for judicial review. And this is an interesting one. Because this brings out basically why Neely Blanchard's in court, if I can ever get. So let's get this over. Now, again, they're saying that she's charged with murder in the first degree. No, latest I checked with the court, there will be no cameras in the courtroom. I will be allowed to have my tablet or laptop in the court, but I do not know if I'm going to be able to live tweet yet. I'm going to check on that when I get there. It would be nice if it did, but the only media besides me that's going to be there at this point is the local newspaper. So, this is things could change between now and Monday. Um, okay, and this gets into uh, this is the case of Meredith Griffin versus Neely Blanchard. This is the Kentucky case. This is what got her into this mess in the first place. And the state believes that the copy of the order is going to be relevant to the case. And so they want it brought in. So we're going to see how this is going to do. And it's for the limited purpose of um, presenting evidence in the case. So that's what that's all about. Now, and there's the attached supporting documents is locked at the time right now. And we have 10th of April, we have supplemental let's see, let me bring this up. I'm having to do a two-step process here, which is why it's not instantly showing on the screen. It's kind of a problem with the software. So we have to kind of do this in a... All right. But here, see, they're going to rely, apparently, on the Kentucky case for a lot of what they're doing. Because this is what Chris Hallett got involved with when he started to help Neely Blanchard, is her custody battle in Kentucky. And they have 124 pages of child custody paperwork obtained from attorney Larry Hensley. And this mainly has to, um, that's exactly what I plan on doing, Rebecca. I will be, and I'm going to go over this again on Sunday, but when I did the Field McConnell hearing and also the Derek Lassiter trial in Kentucky, as well as the Cynthia Abzug trial in Colorado, is I would go live on breaks, which is allowed. I just can't stream from the courtroom itself. You go down to the commissary or what have you, and you can talk from there. And as a matter of fact, I think I did this when I visited the court. So, uh, what we know right now is all the law enforcement officers are going to be giving testimony. The coroner will be giving testimony, and the expert that the state hired to evaluate Neely Blanchard. And so the state's, and there's probably going to be Miss Tanis called, possibly her daughter, but this is all up in the air as far as what's going to happen, because all that's going to happen the 15th is that the jury is going to be selected. And depending on how long that process takes, then we move into opening statements and so forth, and then the prosecution will start. Whether this is all done on Monday or, it's scheduled until it comes in. I don't know for sure if Kirk Pendergrass is going to be called. Now, remember, they took a deposition of Kirk Pendergrass from his home area. Now, they may bring this in as, they may do it as a deposition and have it accepted, or otherwise they got to have Kirk Pendergrass come down here and they got to pay his expenses to come down, from what I understand. So that's unknown at the moment. And again, that's an unknown. You know, the principal individual who has been handling Chris's affairs is his son. I don't know if he's the oldest son. Um, so there's a possibility he'll come down from Ohio. His mother, if she is still alive, would not be attending. I would not think because of her age. She's in her 90s. But then again, I simply don't know. They haven't issued a roster that says who's going to be called yet. And so, we kind of have to play this. Um, and is Kirk Pendergrass on YouTube? I don't know. I haven't been paying any attention at all to Kirk Pendergrass, so I don't know what he's doing, um, and whether or not he's going to show up. It's just one of these things. If he, you know, one day at a time. We got another supplementary. See what this one is. All right, and this next one has to do the child as the Kentucky case. And okay, well, Lori just answered the question that he is on YouTube. Now, this is saying that Lowndes County Sheriff's Office for Medical Records. The copy of the above has been furnished to Neely Blanchard, Marion County Jail, blah, blah, blah. So Neely Blanchard has the copy of her record. So, okay. I'm going to be bringing up. Now, this additional thing here would point that it would appear that there is going to be the evidence is going to be brought into court because we have the documents, information, medical records for Neely Blanchard, Lowndes County, Georgia. So that's going to be brought into the record. So now, we, boy, I'll tell you one thing: you own 4 cats, you pay the price for it. You wouldn't believe what these cats have been up to. Okay, now, like as I discussed earlier, Neely had petitioned the court to have the judge removed from the case. And the cause came before the court on the December defendant's motion to recuse judge and motion to disqualify judge filed on April 5th, 2024. The court finds the motion to be legally insufficient pursuant to Rule 2.330 Florida Rules for Judicial Administration. Therefore, it is ordered and adjudicated defendant's motion to recuse judge and motion to disqualify judge is denied. And this was signed by Lisa Herndon. So, one loss for Neely Blanchard. Now, moving up, and we have a correction. And this is Neely Blanchard's handwritten thing that I'm going to be bringing up. And this was on the 10th. And I need to get an advice from an attorney on this one because I'm a little surprised that she can just do this orders because she's basically ordering the judge to file this stuff. So, I am submitting my first draft of instructions to the court in advance of the trial. This is in regards to jury instructions. I am asking the court when presenting the 3.6/A insanity instruction, add the instruction of, if the evidence establishes that the defendant has been adjudicated insane by a court and has not been judicially restored to legal sanity, then you should assume the defendant was insane at the time of commission of the alleged crime, unless the evidence convinces you otherwise. I am submitting a triple sealed court order from the state of Kentucky that shows that I have been adjudicated insane by the court and I have not been judicially restored to legal sanity. Based on this fact, I am asking you to include this instruction above to the jury. Thank you. I am also asking you to include the lesser charge of manslaughter jury instruction as well. The full instruction on manslaughter 3.4. Now, what Neely has done here is admit that number one, she's going to use a sanity defense. And number two, that the state of Kentucky has adjudicated her insane and has not lifted that insanity finding. Now, state of Florida has examined Neely Blanchard. That's what the previous discovery was about, is that the psychiatrist for the state examined Neely Blanchard, and the psychiatrist that the fired lawyer had hired for Neely Blanchard in regards to her sanity. Now, her defenders, Alexander Kuckelberg and Tim Holmseth, have stated repeatedly that she's not insane. And now we have Neely Blanchard saying, I am insane. So which is it, folks? It's. Now, as for the lesser included, this is going to be a negotiation process between the state and Neely. Because sometimes when you do a Brady, they get into the jury can be instructed by the court to consider murder in the first degree with aggravating circumstances, second degree murder, which is manslaughter, and so forth. And there's varying degrees. If you kill somebody with a car That's voluntary. That's involuntary manslaughter. If you kill somebody under certain circumstances, it can be voluntary manslaughters. These are felonies. Now, I'm not sure uh, where there would be an application for a misdemeanor, but again, um, I'm not the reason that she or an expert on exactly if she's going to get this or not. Now, um, the reason I'm not sure why she was out unless she was out on bail, but there was a warrant for her arrest out of the state of Kentucky. And when the murder of Chris Hallett occurred, Kentucky kind of took a back seat and said, "You deal with her first. When you're done with her, we'll come in and do our thing, unless she's convicted." And so basically, that means that Neely Blanchard is convicted of manslaughter or of first degree murder. Uh, they will wait. Sorry, I got my train of thought got lost. But basically, what's happening here is Florida will try her, and depending on what happens, if she's acquitted, she will be transferred to the state of Kentucky on the warrant they have up there. If she's convicted, she will serve her full term in the state of Florida, and then after, if something happens where she gets out prior to the, maybe she gets hit with manslaughter, either one of the two manslaughters, she will then be transferred to the state of Florida. Now, this is where things get kind of weird because when the court examines a defendant, they are trying to find out if she is competent to stand trial. And so, what this means is that she may have been adjudicated as insane by both the state of Kentucky and the state of Florida, but she is capable of understanding right from wrong. So she's competent to stand trial because she's aware of everything that's going on. The fact that she's filing all this paperwork for the court and acting on her own behalf is she is competent enough to stand trial. She meets the qualifications for it. And yet she can be insane because insane can mean a lot of things. There's a lot involved in the insanity categories. So, and this basically we're going to have to wait for the court or for this trial to go on and find out just exactly how this is going to pan out. This is the first time I followed a case like this. So it's going to be, um, and so there's lock motion in response to strike state's motion to prevent exclusion. Notice of intent to appeal, order denying motion to recuse, judge in motion to disqualify. And then the defense brought discovery on the 12th, which is today, and this is an interesting one. And this creates all kinds of liability for the individuals responsible for getting this thing on the docket. Now, when you file with the state certain paperwork, you are, in a sense, swearing that what you are presenting is true to the best of your knowledge, that you're not giving false testimony to the court. And this is what's been done here. Now, Neely Blanchard brought this to the attention of the court. Now, she said audio missing from previously filed Rolling Stone article between Lynn Wood and former director of the Intelligence Agency under the Obama administration. Now, for some reason, these people are trying to bring the Obama administration, Lynn Wood, and General Michael Flynn into this case. And the judge, this is not going to happen. And of course, we get down here to Tim Holmes' nonsense. We got arrested suddenly. Number 3, the Havana syndrome. Now she's trying to, for whatever reason, tie this in to what happened to her. That the same thing with the Havana syndrome was done to her. Now, what this has to do with, if you guys remember a while back, some United States personnel, embassy stuff, or what have you, they suffered a kind of illness. And the theory is that it was done by ultra powerful, ultra high microwave signals that affected the nervous system and stuff like that. And now, a crazy Canadian and Neely Blanchard are saying that her case was brought about by this. And so now we have this going on. And you're right, this nonsense would not be filed. I'm not sure, the state can object to this even being brought up, because this has nothing to do with her case. She's stating that's all kinds of, and you can see here is it's from Alex, and this puts her on the spot because she's swearing that this stuff has to do with this case. And this is filing false information and could quite possibly be obstruction. Because I'd be very surprised if any of this would be allowed in court. Now, this is what I was waiting to see come in. Number 10 has to do with a phone call. And I brought this up because she put out a recording of a phone call that she made and had a little bit of a conference call with Amy Brandt and the other attorney in the case. And, she edited it, and of course, because there was things that were said about me, because the attorney at that time was not made aware of who was saying what. And she's saying that I'm writing all kinds of crazy shit about Neely Blanchard when it's Timmy and everybody else that's doing it. Mike, and all this stuff was being done by Alexandra and TimothyCharlesHomestead.com and the Telegram discussion sites, which interestingly, there's been some stuff going on there, and also stuff over on Rumble and Discord. And of course, since that phone call, which she nicely omitted the fact that it was a year old, I got in touch with certain officials, and they are investigating this because, she's making some pretty outlandish claims, false claims. And that's basically all I have tonight. But if you Now I'm going to, but you know, Neely Blanchard has declared herself insane, and she's saying she's coming up with some weird stuff. But they're bringing in uh, Michelle Obama being a male, and this, of course, points out that these are all Trump supporters. They're making these accusations simply because these people are Democrats. Although now they're going after a lot of Republicans. I mean, DeSantis. Um, I'm going to run down this nonsense here, because you got they're saying Michelle Obama is a male. Uh, Voice to skull technology used in DeSantis plot against Trump. Now they're claiming that um, the Neely Blanchard trial is all about going after Trump. That they're using Neely Blanchard to go after Trump, and absolute nonsense. But that's the way these. And over here we got now that they're questioning the witnesses in the case, saying that there were two um, different statements. Now, I put all these recordings online in my room, so people can go over and they can go through all the evidence that I put up and decide for themselves what's what. Now, this one, if it comes up, this is another case of a lie of omission or a lie. Now, this statement was made by Shannon on a 911 call because she didn't know if Neely was still in the house. This is a woman alleged to have a firearm that alleged just murdered a man in front of her. And the 911 operator said the same thing. They said, keep quiet, don't say a word, don't bring attention to yourselves. They had locked themselves in the bedroom and were waiting for the sheriff to show up and um, make them safe, which they did. So, so that's now Neil is complaining because the state of Florida or state attorney's office has put her up with uh, QAnon people and um, to show that she had a very strong connection to QAnon. The guy right there with his thumbs up, he's got the big ass Q on his shirt. The guy behind him has got the big ass Q on this shirt. And look at where Neely is. She's right next to the guy. Now, why is she denying her affiliation with QAnon? What the state is contending, and it's because of QAnon that she allegedly did this thing. But, she made a big stink about being at a Trump rally and a picture of Donald Trump QAnon. But is she now denying that she supports Trump or had the? I don't know. I can't figure this thing out. I don't understand where she's going with this defense. And again, we're getting into the Whitey Bulger business, and this is not, and of course she's got my name all over this. Now, why? She's the thing of it is here is by doing this, they are damaging their case because it's proving that Neely is capable of being manipulated into doing something such as killing Chris Hallett. And remember this part here that I predicted the Hallett murder. I did no such thing. If people would go back and re-watch that, um, you would understand that what I was alluding to is because the degree of interference by this group with people that have very strong feelings about their children being taken away. When they find out that somebody is not doing what they claim to be doing, they may retaliate violently. And this is exactly what happened. Then Neely Blanchard found out that Chris Hallett was a fraud. He had no connection with members of Congress or Trump or anyone else. He was not a defense contractor or any of this crap. This is all stuff that was made up. And when she found out, she got angry, and the rest is history. And then because I am paying attention to this, I get all this Whitey Bulger stuff thrown at me. And Cuckoo Bird was dumb enough to put this into evidence in the court. And it's going to backfire on him because the state now realizes that it's Alexandra Cuckoo that is behind all these weird things that are being published on the internet. That it's not crazy stuff by me, it's crazy stuff by her. I'm not putting any of this stuff up there. All I'm doing is rebutting this stuff, saying this stuff isn't true. But Alexandra, like the idiot she is, calls the state attorneys and puts this stuff up there. She puts this up there. And right here where it says Florida Governor Ron DeSantis punished for not doing what Timmy and Randy wanted him to do. Timmy cannot stand rejection. That was on my Twitter. This is his headline. Pentagon Pedophile Task Force, right there. He put that up there. She submitted it to the court. So, they're the ones that are doing this. They're making all these sovereign citizens, and all of this. This is all Tim Homseth and Alexandra. It's time and time and time again. They're putting this stuff up there. And so, they're the ones that went with these theories. Now, okay, I don't know. Okay, I'm there, I guess. Let me try and get this thing out of here. Bear with me a minute. I got to try and correct something. All right, I'm not sure how to handle this thing with the image. So I'm just going to put that to one side because it's there. So, but that's where we're at. Hope I still got. We have the court coming up on April 15th. And what I'm going to do is I will be up there and I will come on the air Sunday night as soon as I get there and I will go through um, how things are going to go. I'm going to try a couple new things up there and I will get into exactly what these things are once yeah, there we go. Finally got it done. And I hope I'm still in there. Have I still got audio? Now, there's just a lot of nonsense going on with this case. Um, and they think they're helping Neely Blanchard, and they're not. Um, they are going to wind up um, just making things a lot worse for Neely. Happened with Cynthia Abzug. Cynthia Abzug got, I think, 60 or 90 days in jail, maybe 6 months. She was put on probation for 2 years. She has to go ongoing uh, medical um, counseling and all that, and she doesn't know what's going on with her son. She's basically been prohibited from seeing her son. Since that was 2 years ago, I would hazard a guess that Neely or Cynthia is off probation, or soon will be, because the 2 years is up from that case. But that um, Cynthia Abzug should have been the lesson, and since that didn't happen, we um, thanks, Larry. So we're at a point where now Neely Blanchard's going the same thing. Chris Hallett was murdered, and rather than learn their lesson from that, they are exploiting Chris Hallett uh, to use for this nonsense. And so we have switching going on. Let's see what we got here. Yeah, so this demonstration of bigotry by Tim Holmseth is playing out on Telegram and on the site. Racism and bigotry. We're all yeah, I'm not sure what this agent of necessity thing is. That's the first time I've heard that used in a court proceeding. I think it's, something that, she say if there's any kind of legitimate definition for this. Agent by necessity is a type of legal relationship in which a party can make essential decisions for another party until legally recognized agents, like someone with power of attorney or guardianship, is put in place. Okay. Somebody's been doing some stuff, but the in an interview that was given to the Ocala newspaper, the state said she's not allowed to do that. But, she's done this, and this is in Canada, and they follow, they're part of the United Kingdom, so they follow English law, and this is something everybody's supposed to be protesting. So the very law that everybody's protesting, they're using. Uh, so, no, as far as I know, Kirk Pendergrass has nothing to do with this. This is all Alexandra Cuckoo that's doing this stuff. And so, this is basically her intervention in here and her acting like some kind of quasi expert in all this. So, Alexander managed to get all of Timmy's nonsense put into the court records. Well, the deposition that was put into the discovery evidence of Kirk Pendergrass is not looking good for Neely. So that's going to be something that comes up. But, it's just that these people are not helping Neely. They're making matters worse. I just, what makes this interesting about this case is to see how somebody who is totally incompetent is going to handle themselves in court. And what the court is going to do to with that. All right, let me get calling up. Yes, I did. She's writing to the judge, and she's not helping out herself. And the telephone call that she put on the um, Tim Holmes says play, or I think she put it on Telegram. I don't know where I saw that, but it's been entered into evidence in the court, and it was a year old. She went on. She blew her stack because I was able to get discovery evidence from the court about everything that was going on. I played the body cam where she was detained in Georgia. I played the telephone call she made on the way to Georgia, the FBI interview, and the Marion County Sheriff interview. And, Cuckoo Bird didn't like it. And she said in the recording that she is accusing me of the murder of people and getting involved in child trafficking and all this. And this is to a government agency under oath. When you file something with the court in for discovery, you are attesting that what you are saying is true and correct to the best of your knowledge, and if necessary, you can provide indisputable evidence, which they can't. And now they're in a panic, and they have gotten themselves so deep in this case. I don't know where it's going to go, but I guarantee you, uh, they're probably not happy up in Ocala right now that they've got to put up with this crap. So these people are playing a very, very dangerous game, and the only one that's going to have the consequence for this is Neely. These guys are going to walk away from this with no problems at all, and it's Neely that's going to be left holding the bag. It's Neely that's going to go to jail. Neely that's going to have to live with what she did for the rest of her life. And she's not going to be getting, she's not going to see daylight. But I was wrong about, she apparently does. Rebecca, she does believe in Timothy Homeseth because um, Alexandra works for or with Tim Homeseth. She is his research person. And she is actually running the show. She's doing all the writing and basically running everything. Randy's not involved in this. Timothy's not involved in this. It's all her. And they even said it once. They said the only time Tim Homeseth puts anything on the internet is from Truth Social. That anything outside of Truth Social is them. And so, Neely does not understand what the hell she got herself into. Um, she has really screwed herself. Yeah, when they did the advice interview, Neely had said that she was scammed. And this is why, allegedly, Chris Hallett was shot, because she found out that she was scammed and she shot him. And, who knows what would have happened if she was not caught. If she was heading north. She was arrested on I-75, which is an interstate that goes all the way to the Canadian border, up towards Minnesota and Wisconsin and so on. Who knows where she was going? Everybody assumes that she was going back to Kentucky, but maybe she wasn't going to Kentucky. Maybe she was going farther north. She was going to seek out these people. But, this Alexandra came out of the woods and turned her around. But, when the dust settles and all this, Neely's the only one that's going to be paying the price. That's entirely possible, because the more Alexandra gets into this case and involves herself, the more the state is going to be interested in what the hell's going on here. Now, they may not bring her down as a witness for Neely in the trial, but they're going to be looking at her to find out just what the hell is going on with her involvement in this case. Why all this stuff is being introduced in court that's flat out lies. I mean, the judge is going to know that this uh, Whitey Bulger thing is a bunch of crap. And, it's going to say, why is she putting this stuff in a murder trial? You know, this false and misleading information. Why is it coming in? What else is false and misleading? You know, is there a possibility that undue influence was used with Neely Blanchard and she was persuaded to murder Chris Allen? Well, from what I understand, she's not exactly acting as an attorney. Uh, that she's acting kind of as a friend. This necessary assistant, whatever it is, I guess, is a loophole that she can use to say, I'm not being a lawyer. I'm just, helping her out as a friend because she's having problems and all that. And I just decided to help. I don't know if the state's going to buy that. And so far, they haven't said whether or not they're going to do anything. Now, Timothy Charles Holmseth is on the witness list. He's on the original witness list. He could be called. And he's going to be in for an unpleasant surprise if he comes to Florida. But, he's becoming a material witness in all this, and they may not. Yeah, this is obstruction of justice. And if the state gets pissed off enough at them and the judge gets pissed off enough at them, they'll turn this over to a grand jury. And if she gets indicted, then she's going to be extradited to the United States, to Florida, to answer it. And it's a third-degree felony. These people they're not using worst case scenario when figuring out what they're going to do. What is the worst that can happen to you by getting involved this directly in this case? And the answer is obstruction of justice and making false statements to a court, impeding court proceedings with all this false information. This is where we're looking at right now. And so, yeah, they know because she's putting her name on all this. If you go back and look at the discovery that I put up tonight, her name is there. Um, she is putting all the stuff up there, and she's put out on the social media that she's done this because Neely can't get her stuff out to the court. So she intervened to write this stuff to the court on Neely's behalf. So the court is well aware. And now they're aware a year ago when Neely made that phone call accusing me of all kinds of stuff and making sure that my name was mentioned 20 times or more in the phone call. The only problem is the attorneys made it crystal clear that nothing she is saying in that phone call is relevant, and it is not going to interfere with the trial. It's not going to poison the jury in any way, shape, or form because the jury is instructed to pay attention to only what is brought out in court. She cannot, they cannot use anything that is brought in by outside. This is going to be in the jury instruction right before the trial starts. And when it's time for them to go and do their deliberation, it's going to be all there. And so, this nefarious thing that she's put out, all she's done is she's got herself entangled in a legal liability that may come back and bite her down the road. That she may find herself in court as a defendant. And, instead of minding her own business and staying in her own country, this is a foreign national behind all this. She's not a United States citizen. She cannot vote in any U.S. election, be it local, state, or federal. Um, So she's interfering with a court proceeding in a foreign country, so that makes her a foreign agent, and that opens up a whole can of worms. The Neely Blanchard case is not going to be the end of this. Because we still have the Delphi case, and they're all in that. Um, they are doing the same thing with um, the Delphi that they're doing with Neely. They can't. None of this is provable. Whitey Bulger is deader than a doornail. He's got an intention, and he's got a indention in his head from where he was beat on it with a padlock. And there's all kinds of evidence, there's DNA evidence, everything out there that would shut these people up in a heartbeat in court. And they know it. I for the life of me, these are 4chan trolls. This is what started stuff like this is 4chan and the people over there that created Anonymous and created QAnon and all this. This is a joke that's being put on the world by a bunch of kids in the basement that looks at pornographic cartoons. There's a documentary that came out recently on Netflix. It's The Antisocial, and it breaks down in detail how Anonymous came about and how QAnon came about. The reason for entering this nonsense is attention. It's just like what happened with QAnon, what happened with Anonymous, and so on and so forth. These are a bunch of midget brains that want to create things for the lulls, as they call it, for the laughs. They create all this stuff, all these rumors, just to get attention and to say what we have the power to mess you up. And that's what happened. And it's still going on. And people, because of their hate and because of their belief, fall for it. You know, it's, we're being manipulated by people over on 8chan, 4chan, this chan, that chan, the dark web. No, they didn't learn. There's a warrant for Timmy's arrest out of the state of Arizona, so he has to stay out of Arizona. But they didn't learn a damn thing. And Sawyer, for whatever reason, hasn't collected a dime from Randy. So, it was a waste of time. People ask me, why don't I sue? Craig Sawyer is a good example of why. He went through all this time and expense of winning that case, and it didn't do a damn thing. They work around it. They call him Sawman and other ways of getting around it. But all in all, it didn't change a thing. It just showed that Randy's a pathological liar, but nothing became of it. Yeah, Craig Sawyer filed a complaint, and now Timmy's got an arrest warrant out of the state of Arizona. He keeps this up, he ain't gonna be able to go anywhere in the country because he's gonna have arrest warrants. Because I think it's a misdemeanor arrest warrant. They can't, if it was a felony arrest warrant, he'd be picked up by now. But it's the same thing. He violated an order of protection, and so whap, got himself a warrant. And he don't care. It ain't a big fat joke. He's sitting in somebody's basement, eating popcorn, watching a big screen TV, and having the time of his life. Yeah, well, that's part of project. That's part of the FAFO project. I track this stuff down, and there's a lot of information that I haven't put out yet because I just haven't had the time. But you know, yeah, he does not want to show his face anywhere near Craig Sawyer. That'd be the biggest mistake of his life because he'll be in jail um, before the ink dries on the paperwork. Yeah, yeah. That apparently he's in North Dakota. I thought he was in Denver suburbs, but no, he's been spotted in North Dakota. Tim doesn't realize it, but there's a woman following him all over the place, and they know where he's at. And Craig, whatever Craig does, it's up to him. I, he's got all the marbles. He can play them. He can make Timmy's life a living hell if he feels like it for whatever reason. I can't tell Craig what to do. That's his ballywick. Uh, I don't know what's going on with those two. We don't hear much about Randy. Um, she's still around, TN, just like you said, but in what capacity, I don't know. I think that Alexandra has taken a lot of this over. That basically Randy has either ceded power to Alexandra or she's been set aside. I don't know precisely. There's things that are coming out uh, by defectors about what's going on over there. But right now, it's this case that is of importance. Um, what's going on here with this case? It. But as I wrap this up, who is Alexandra Holm? Don't understand the question. Now, she is a Canadian citizen. She's in the suburb of Toronto, Ontario. She operates some weird business, and I there was a picture of either her or somebody else, and it looked like somebody had thrown a pan of scalding hot water at her face. It was all blotched and red, and I'm going, what? And that is supposed to be some kind of treatment. And I don't know how Canada allows this nonsense, but that's a different situation. People up there can handle that one, but it's just that's just a wacky one. But all right, we're coming up on the top of the hour. I'm going to call it a night. Um, like I said, I'm going to be on again on Sunday. Time to be determined, probably around 9 o'clock, uh, because I have to get up to Ocala, and I won't be going to Atlanta or Ocala until later in the afternoon because I got a full weekend to get things caught up on and get prepared for going up there. So please like, subscribe, hit the notification button, and share, and get the word out because live coverage of the trial of Neely Petrie Blanchard begins 7 o'clock Monday morning on location in Ocala, Florida. And thank you all for coming in. Thank you, Rebecca. Thank you, Laurie. Thank you, Tennessee. Um, appreciate you guys. This is a small, small, small channel, but we're all good friends and we're all for the same thing, justice. Good night, all.